Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, with your host, Hurricane H. What if the mattress you're sleeping on is silently impacting your health, energy, and performance every single day? Welcome back to the Hurricane H show, where better choices lead to better lives. Today's guest is Derek Hales, founder of NapLab and a leading voice in sleep health and consumer transparency. Since 2013, Derek has personally tested over 500 mattresses using data driven approach built on standardized testing and measurable results to help people make smarter decisions about their sleep and overall well being. In a space often driven by marketing, Derek stands out by focusing on honesty, clarity, and evidence. Derek, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh no, no, this is fun, man. Sleep is I think 30% of our life, right? That's what we're supposed to be spending at least,
Yeah, ideally around 8 hours a night. So yeah, for most of us, that should be about a third. But sadly, not everyone gets the full 8 hours.
Well, that is. So let's go about, let's talk about all the stuff that happens, with us and sleeping, and of course, let's talk about, the world of mattresses and the tools we use to actually, you know, promote good sleep. Apparently, some are good, some not as so good. Your work brings us closer to the reality of things and what we should be looking as consumers and just people who are looking to be healthier. And again, I think your contribution to how people listening and watching right now will be great because they might discover that they probably we're not doing it right. Maybe I'm not doing it right. I probably I'm one of those folks that's probably making a mistake in a way or the other. So let's talk about that. Well, before that, Derek, let's talk about your background. Like how did you get into this world in the first place?
It was quite by accident. The whole thing really started in 2014. My wife and I got married. We needed a new bed, so we did kind of the whole in-store shopping experience thing. We went in, we tried beds, we laid on them, we found beds we liked, but the prices were four, five, $6,000. Just felt astronomically expensive. And we were, newly married couple, not very much money to speak of, and pretty frugal people at that. So we just couldn't pull the trigger. We ended up taking a chance on these online mattresses that were really just kind of getting going in 2014. We ordered one. It was a 10-inch all foam mattress for $600 for a king. Great deal. Not great for us. The feel wasn't right. It was just too firm. We ended up returning it. Really easy return process. We ordered another one. It was a little bit better. We ended up keeping that one for a little while. And just as kind of like a fun weekend hobby project, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna just make a website this weekend. I'm gonna review these two beds. I'm gonna compare them, and I'm gonna talk about my experiences going in the store and what that was like, and just throw it up on a website. Just see if anybody cares. Not really thinking it would take off, but within just a few weeks, it was getting a ton of traction, a ton of interest. My readers were asking if we could test other models and other brands, so we got some more brands, some more models. But I think by the end of 2014, we already tested 4 or 5 different mattresses, and very quickly started making a lot of money, and enough that I could conceivably leave my job. So a few months after that, in February of 2015, I said, you know what, let's do this. This is fun. I'm enjoying this. This is helping people, and I started my full-time career as a professional mattress tester.
Well, I do have to commend you and actually congratulate you because you know what you have just described here, and this is maybe we're gonna offshoot from this the main discussion, but really as entrepreneur, as someone who came across something. I mean, a lot of people would actually resist a change or taking a chance or doing what you did, and frankly, I mean, you just described all the reasons why you wouldn't be able to do that financially, all the stuff, newlywed and all that, and yet you kind of pulled the trigger and you made it happen, and the rest is history. I think that's a message to everyone watching and listening, that so you come across something that's of value, you have an idea, you innovate in it, you go through it, and you never know. This is a good example. You never know what happens, and you only know you can't possibly not know unless you make things happen, right? So the idea is you went. So anyone out there, and this is something I've always said, personally, pursue your ventures, whatever they are, and don't quit your job right away, but certainly see what's available to you, and then you never know how well it will do. And this is exactly what you did. One little thing led to another, and the other, and before you know it, now you're decade or what, over a decade, right? And so it's pretty substantial substantiated, time frame, to actually become an expert. I mean, typically 5 years, you're like a veteran at anything that you do. So you're already at an expert level, and you've created this opportunity to share value with people. And you know what? An area that most people don't even think about. I mean, who the hell is going to think about, like, how do I compare mattresses? And marketing is
Yeah.
big. I mean, there's, and so just I just wanted to talk about that because one of the things that we hear all the time, people are afraid, they're comfortable, they don't want to make a shift, they're afraid to test new things and maybe new opportunities. But opportunity comes, knocks on your door, you don't decline it or turn your back to it. You just face it front and center and see what's up. You did it. So again, I
Absolutely.
just want, I really, want, share that piece because I think that's super, man. Thank you for making a difference there.
Well, that's very kind of you. Yeah, it was a tough choice initially. It was anytime you're kind of going out on your own, it's a risk. But it was kind of it was a I don't know, confluence of factors, I guess, that really pushed me. I felt like kind of doors were closing for me at work. I was very frustrated, and kind of my corporate job just hitting a lot of roadblocks there. But then doors were opening right in front of me in the world of mattresses. I was like, you know what? Let's try this. And I just kind of going into it, I said, you know what? I'm going to commit to do this for at least 1 year, see how it goes. If the whole thing crashes and burns, that's okay. I would feel a lot worse having never tried it than tried it and failed. Fortunately, we didn't fail. We kept building stuff that people liked and that resonated with our audience and with our readers. Yeah, and here we are, 11 and a half years later. Still cranking along, a little over, having tested over 500 mattresses so far.
Well, thank you for that. And you know what? You said something very powerful too. Like you said, there's the opportunity of failure, right? But you didn't fail. That's great. But even if that was the case, right? I think that's the thing that people have to realize, that even someone fails, you didn't fail. You just learned what not to
Yeah,
do or do it differently or better, right? So at the end of the day, it's still a lesson learned in life, and that's a valuable thing that you always have. So at the end of the day, never have anything to lose by testing something new. That's an opportunity that's before you. And I think that's something that we all take for granted, and we should actually take advantage of things that come across. And sometimes you'll be surprised. I think we all, including myself, I know, actually, it's not I know I've had opportunities that I kind of regret today that I didn't take.
yeah,
Because I'm like, damn, I should have done that. And I had the opportunity, but I had doubt, I had fear, had all the bad things that can happen, and didn't do it. Now, obviously, this is not a business discussion today, but it is a business. I mean, we have someone who's a founder of a concept of a whole life-changing opportunity for people. So we take advantage of anything we can get, on the show. But so now let's talk about sleep. I mean, most of us, as I started the discussion, it's about 30% of our life. We're supposed to do the 8 hours thing. Most of us don't, anyways. That's another problem. And again, when I keep
hmm
saying most of us, someone says like, "Well, Hurricane, you're talking about, I don't know, a percentage of population." I'm not saying anything, folks. All I'm saying is, typically we're supposed to do 7 to 8 hours. That's a third of our life. Whether we do 2 3 hours or 10 hours, that's a different story. And in the last 7 years, I've had multiple discussions about the importance of sleep with some great experts around the world. And I have to say that, yeah, sleep is important, and it does have an impact on the overall health, mental and physical. And so, yeah, sleep is a big deal. And then one of the reasons we're here today is to talk about some things that sometimes prevent us from having a good sleep and really recuperating, which is, recovery system. That is what sleep is. And restoring, little opportunity for the body to recharge, to reset, and get comfy for us for the next day to get again launched and operational. And most of us are in a cranky, bad mood, just struggling to even wake up. And then we're like, there's a lot of us as zombies in the morning, and we keep
yeah.
pumping coffee and whatever we can drink to get us going, and it's not working. So let's talk about that. Like, we think sleep is about time, but really, is it? Or there is a real reason behind why we don't sleep. Even if we sleep the 8 hours, we're feeling beat up. We don't feel right. We don't, And by the way, I think people can relate to that. I think mattresses do make a difference. So let's talk. How much is that? Does the
Yeah.
mattress actually matter?
Yeah, and sleep is complicated, right? Because there are so many things that impact our sleep. We have, the mattress itself, what you're sleeping on. You have your sheets, your pillows, your bedding, your bed frame. And then you have all these other things kind of going on, just things in your head, stress, anxiety, worries, things you're thinking about, things you got to do the next day. You have things going on in your body. Maybe your body just gets hotter. You've got hot flashes. Maybe you've got, back issues. You've got pains. You've got injuries. Those complicated. And then we have the environmental factors of the room itself. Is it cool? Is it hot? Is it humid? Is it dry? All of these things kind of come together to make us sleep a little better or a little worse, depending on kind of where we are on each of those sort of respective spectrum. So in the world of mattresses specifically, so much of it isn't about finding the perfect mattress. In my view, there is no perfect mattress that's great for everybody. There is a mattress that is sort of perfect for you and for me. And so all we need to do is find the bed that matches our specific needs and preferences. And a lot of that comes down to, getting the thing that is right for your sleeping position, getting the mattress that's right for your preferred firmness, your preferred sort of sinkage depth, how far you sink down into the mattress, or perhaps you prefer to float more on top of the mattress with a little bit of a firmer feel. And then just otherwise finding the comfort dynamic with respect to pressure relief and support that again is going to be right for your body. And so it's helpful to kind of think about your specific needs and preferences. Like when you wake up in the morning, do you find you have lower back pain? Do you have shoulder pain, hip pain? Or are those kind of ongoing problems for you? Are you sort of waking up fully rested and energized, or are you waking up, tired and groggy? Do you sleep better at, friends and family's houses and hotels than you do your own bed? If so, any of these could be good indicators that maybe it's time to switch. Maybe the mattress is just old, or, perhaps it no longer meets your specific needs.
Well, thank you. So, where do people get it wrong? I mean, in the choice. I mean, there's quite a bit of hype out there. I mean, and it's just clear that there's so many brands, companies, stores that actually sell, different levels of mattresses. And I mean, historically we've had quite a few, brands that came and left, and different types of, sizes, levels. That now we have those foam ones. We have the cool gel, whatever. I mean, there's so many types. The sleep numbers. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many of them. But I do want to just you said something interesting. This is personal experience. There was a time I had a mattress that was not really doing well with me, and I discovered that because when I love to cruise, and so I was on a cruise ship, and that night when I went to that cruise ship, it was just like the best sleep I've had. And the mattress really felt good. I just kind of crashed on that thing. It was nice and soft. I didn't feel a pain in there in the morning. I was like, yeah. Well, so to your point, yeah, sometimes you discover what your body really needs, in the most odd places. But yeah, the concept of people, like, we can go to family members. To your point, we go to hotels, especially if you're business traveling all over the place. You're gonna have a lot of shifts in beds, and a lot of people always complain. This is something I've heard many, many times. Oh, I can't sleep anywhere but my house. You know, so that's a problem. Now that's providing the mattress that they have is doing a good job. But at the end of the day, like in my case, it was the opposite. I discovered that I'm doing better, outside of my place. So I had to change it. But so I just wanted to throw in there because, of what you said. But really, we're getting it wrong somehow, you know, despite all the stuff. Because it's not like we have knowledge about, like, you get into a sales guy or gal and they'll tell you everything that's good about whatever they're selling.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's, they're not doing a back, scan on your, body and metabolism and all this stuff to see whether you're going to work, this particular or the other one. So is that really, the problem that we have?
Certainly, at the problem with sort of commissioned salesmen in sort of physical brick and mortar mattress stores is a problem. You go in there, they have a very limited number of brands, maybe three to five brands, a limited number of models for each of those brands, and they're there to sell you something, and so they're not going to say, well, actually, none of the beds here in here are a good fit for you. They're going to find something that works for you, and more often than not, they're going to try to be selling you, kind of as much sort of the highest priced item that they think they can get you to purchase. I think there's certainly something to be gained by going into physical stores, trying beds. But I think there is a risk there of, getting half truths or, lies of omission from salesmen that have, a real vested interest in selling you something. Anytime one of my readers, go in to try something in the store, I always just encourage them, like, don't buy the first time in the store. It's fine to go in, fine to try stuff. That's great. get the information from the salesman, and then come back and like fact check that information. Go look at what the website says about that same product. Go look at what third party reviews say about those products, and see if those things match. Oftentimes they just don't. So I think just a certain level of skepticism and caution when dealing with any salesman is a good idea.
Listen, I am a hardcore salesperson, but I do believe in what you just said. It's funny because the reality of sales is really what sometimes pisses me off is that we have a bunch of folks that actually, in the name of salesmanship, ruin it for the rest of us out there in the real world because they don't clarify things. They don't share with you the value or the real stuff, which you then have to decide based on real facts and so on. A lot of people, to your point, omit the information or give you a half story because, to your point, there is a bias. There's an interest to gain a quick one, and usually that's where these salespeople actually fail on and along. So there's not a sales show today, but really it's something that always comes back in discussions where people get the wrong outcomes because of a and not ambitious, I would say, but not the honest, individual in the sales role. So sadly, that's the problem. And but you're right. You get, oh yeah, this is the right one for you. It's gonna do this and the other and stuff with no facts. And then you get all hyper and you get excited. They get that emotion going out of you, and the next thing you know, you just like stuck with something. And then they tell you got a warranty, you got this, and chances are there's not not a refund, whatever. That becomes a
Yeah,
problem. Now you lose
yeah.
financially. It's a problem. So thank you for actually highlighting that because to your point, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, but you got to find the right people, and sometimes the trust factor is important, but really doing the fact check, as you said, is the key. Now that brings us to your word, um, well, your world rather. Um, NapLab is your platform, if I'm getting that right. That's
Yep,
your
that's correct.
business. So it's data driven and transparency. You know, place where people can go and do the fact checks, do the check, do the comparables and stuff like that. So guide us through what is NapLab, how does it work, and yeah, let's start from there.
Sure. So NapLab is a platform that tests and reviews mattresses. We conduct a battery of 10 objective and data-driven tests to gather as much objective and quantifiable information about each mattress as possible. We then take that data and use it to score mattresses, to rank mattresses, to analyze mattresses, so we understand exactly, how does this mattress perform with respect to cooling? How does it perform with respect to motion transfer, edge support, sex, pressure relief, support, all the things that are important for a shopper, for a sleeper. We take all of that data, all those numbers, put that into our systems to understand performance, and then we try to take something that is a lot of sort of complicated data. There's a lot of sort of numbers that sort of spinning around each mattress, and synthesize that down to a very simple to understand set of scores, pros and cons, and recommendations, so that even if you don't want to read through all of our numbers and our homework, that's okay. You can just hit the summary boxes at the top so that you can quickly understand, all right, is this good? Is this a bed that's good for me, or maybe this is one I need to pass on?
Hey, that's a lot of work, man. I just can't imagine like what you had to do in all these years to really like come up with the most accurate or the most comprehensive, list of all the products out there. And by the way, I'm assuming this is in the U.S. primarily, right?
Yes, mostly we test U.S.
And
mattresses, though we do test a handful of Canadian models and then as UK models as well. We're working to expand kind of internationally, especially into those kind of same markets. Perhaps Australia as well as one we're looking at. But as of now, our focus is still on the U.S.
But that's what I was asking. I mean, because this problem is, I mean, especially for people who travel, I think they can use some data on wherever they go in to see if this is the right place for them or not, whatever. That's the other thing. Imagine, I don't know if any hotels out there kind of promote what kind of mattresses they have and use that as maybe a selling point. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe there's
some of
something
them
there.
do. Yeah.
Oh, they do actually.
West
So, yeah,
Weston is a big one. They've got the Weston Heavenly Bed, so sort of all Weston hotels and many Marriott hotels. It's just like their sister brand. They have their Weston Heavenly Bed, and then you can buy that same mattress and comforter and pillow set and sheet set on their website. And so it's some hotels do it, but I think more often than not, hotels have a sort of custom specific model that's been designed just for them, and then they don't really sell it. They don't they may say it's from such and such hospitality collection, but It's really hard to know because, again, they're usually custom models built for that specific hotel. So find that exact mattress is tough unless it's like really obvious, like it is in the case of like a Westin where they say, "Hey, here is our mattress," and you can just buy it if you want.
Well, listen, again, something I'm thinking about here. I mean, I think it's a good selling point if you can point out like what kind of mattress and how it's really good for you. Like you're gonna have some real good night's sleep. I mean, I think that's a big thing because if you're in a hotel, it's the bed and breakfast, right? So you want
Yeah,
the B for the first B to be, an A.
absolutely. Yeah,
Well, so now let's talk about real quality for marketing hype. I mean, it's we see a lot of promotion and especially around the holidays and the Cyber Mondays and the Black Fridays and there's a lot of pitch and products in general, but mattresses have their own I guess time on the screen and on the radio. You know, what is really real quality? How let's define that like in like because they can say everything
yeah.
under the sun here, but really what is the one, two, three items that we have to look for when you actually consider a mattress?
In the world of mattresses, it's really tough to know, and it's mostly due to a lack of transparency on the part of the brands. They don't often share the information that will tell you whether or not a particular foam layer or coil layer is a high quality material. In the world of foams, what we're primarily looking for is foam density. That's simply how much that foam weighs. It's usually measured in PCF, pounds per cubic feet. And so foams that are higher density, they weigh more because they have just more stuff in them. That the extra material that they're built with helps them last longer, perform better, sag less, take longer to start forming body impressions, all the things that keep them comfortable and feeling supportive. On the coil side, we're usually looking at coil gauge, which is just essentially how thick the wire is. Coils that are a lower gauge are using a thicker wire. Coils that are higher gauge are using a thinner wire. In general, thicker wires, lower gauge coils are better because, again, there's just more stuff there. They last longer, they're more durable. It's not always true because a thicker wire usually means a firmer feel and a thinner wire usually means a softer feel. So there are some situations in which a thinner wire is fine, but there's sort of a spectrum. So like ideally I'm looking for like kind of like 13 to 15 gauge wires. As we get thinner than that, I start to get concerned about longevity and support. In the world of foam density, it's complicated because memory foams are kind of like on a different scale of density compared to polyfoam, compared to latex foam. But higher is better. In the world of memory foam, I want to see at least a 3.0 PCF with 4 to 5 being ideal, and higher is always better. In the world of polyfoams, ideally want to see at least a 2, but again, 2 to 3 is kind of more ideal. And then latex is its own kind of separate world. While we can measure them in terms of PCF, latex is like much higher density compared to other foam types. So it is more durable. It's also a natural material and often organic. So if there are other benefits, well, usually durability concerns on latex are not as widespread. So foam density, coil gauge are kind of the big things we look for, and then just sort of general thickness of the mattress. And these things are usually complicated. Brands are usually not wanting to share this information. Anytime I see a brand sort of unwilling to share it, it makes me, kind of red flag think, well, why don't they want to share it? I think it's usually because they're embarrassed by it because any brand that was using high quality materials, high density foams, reasonably good gauge coils is going to share that information. But if we could just sort of condense it into one simple thing that anybody can use that almost every brand is going to disclose, weight of the mattress. Mattresses that weigh more are generally more durable and perform better. Same thing. It's like a mattress that weighs more is probably going to have higher density foams. It's probably going to have thicker, heavier wires. It's going to have more materials. So ideally, we want to find queen size mattresses that are at least 100 pounds, with 120 ish being sort of ideal. So when in doubt, just ask how much it weighs. If that queen is less than 100 pounds, more likely than that it's going to have issues. Doesn't mean every bed that's less than 100 pounds is, a terrible bed that's going to fall apart. But in general, heavier mattresses do perform better and last longer.
Well, thank you. Now here's the thing. It's funny because as you're talking, I'm visualizing a lot of the stuff that you're talking about. There's a couple of things. One is we've seen mattresses from novelties such as water beds and inflatables, the sleep number concepts where you actually have your own, you can measure whatever you can pressurize, your side of the bed or all the whole bed, and
Mm.
then there's some coils, there's some foam. So I mean, they all seem to have some sort of a an attractive concept. So they all can have weight, they can all have the stuff to describe, but certainly they're different, and that's one part of the question. The other part is the concept of materials used, because now we can talk about allergens, we can talk about organic versus not organic, and all these things can be sometimes a problem. Easily, some you can have I don't know, the microfibers that they use there can be very not healthy for you, or maybe some polyester components. So let's talk about the I guess the clinical aspect of these mattresses and what they can do to your spine, to your literally your alignment, to your neck, because I mean, obviously if you're kind of crooked, whatever that, or the firm, level, is that a good thing or bad thing? In your expertise, what are some of the facts that, or at least guidances you can give us now?
So when it comes to a mattress sort of creating ideal support, what we want is for the mattress to create what's called a neutral spinal alignment. And all this means is that when you lay down, that the spines from the top of your neck down to your tailbone is in alignment, that we don't have a big curve going this way or too much, support in the middle and a curve of the spine going this way. Depending on your sleeping position, the type of mattress that will create that neutral spinal alignment is going to differ a little bit. If you are a side sleeper, you generally want a little bit deeper sinkage and medium to a medium firm feel. That's going to let the hips sink in a little bit so that we can bring those in alignment with the rest of the body and spine. If you are a stomach or back sleeper, you generally want more of a moderate or minimal sinkage depth, as that's going to create, again, the right level of support to keep that spine in alignment. We also have to really think about the pillows here, because the pillows can have a big impact as well. If you're a side sleeper, you generally want a taller pillow, because we need the pillow to fill this space between the shoulder and the head, again, so that the neck, the spine, and the rest of the body are all in alignment while we're lying on the side. If your pillow is too short, then you're going to head dips like this way. You got cricks in the neck. Your body's compensating, and now you've got pressure points down the hips as well. If you're a back sleeper, usually a moderate height is appropriate. And then if you're a stomach sleeper, very thin pillow. Stomach sleepers, of course, are on the stomach. So if the head is sort of being pushed upward, that's again that creating that sort of curvature in the spine. So getting the right sort of sinkage depth, firmness, and pillow for your preferred sleep position goes a long way to creating that ideal spinal alignment.
That's quite a bit to absorb here, but it's a lot of technical stuff. So I'm assuming, of course, anyone going into the site to your company will be able to identify some of these things and can understand a little bit more how the impact is. Because I think, of course, if you have some severe problems with your spine and alignment stuff, I mean, you have your doctor, specialist, whoever that you're seeing for your alignment, that probably going to also have some contribution to a decision there. I think also if you have a sleep problem, whatever that may be, like sleep apnea and all these other conditions, maybe there's a particular recommendation. So that's a question to you. Are there, perfect mattresses that are recommended by clinicians and physicians specifically, or that depends again on the individual because we're all different?
I have not seen any broad consensus among clinicians or medical professionals. Seems kind of very based on more anecdotal evidence and sort of what that individual physician prefers, in addition to what they think their specific patient needs. So in all cases, listen to your doctor, listen to the medical professionals that are sort of guiding you and providing recommendations for you. You mentioned sleep apnea, and so one thing that we've seen sort of more consistent there is using an adjustable foundation. Like that is a sort of broad recommendation that is recommended for a lot of people with sleep apnea. An adjustable foundation simply allows you to adjust the mattress so we can raise the head, raise the foot a little bit, and the benefit there is twofold. And on the one hand, we reduce pressure on the lower back and just create better pressure relief and more even support. In addition, because the body is raised up slightly, the airway is more open. That facilitates better breathing, can help to treat and reduce issues with sleep apnea. In addition, it can also help to reduce snoring for the same way. Your airway is fully open, so you're not sort of getting that on the back where you're struggling to sort of have a fully open airway, which can create all kinds of issues with sleep apnea and breathability and snoring as well.
Okay, well, so I think the answer is, folks, you're gonna have to work with your specialist and also do your own due diligence to really find what's best because I think this is not a cookie cutter concept. It's everybody's different, and certainly we have just to do the work to actually get the right thing and not just walk to a store and just pick up the first mattress. Now that brings us to the $1 million question, which is the cost of all this stuff. I think that's really sometimes what's the driver behind. And it's like you started with that, when we just got married and we had to look at some mattresses. They can go very cheap, they can be very pricey. And so is there correlation to price, or is that not necessarily true? Like, the bigger the more expensive is usually the better one. The cheaper one obviously would be cheaper quality. Is that the standard assumption, or there's more to it?
So we have consistently seen better performance as you spend more money up to a certain point. And that point is around $1,500 to $2,000. At that point, you're sort of really maximizing the value that you get out of a mattress. Now, we'll still continual sort of steps up in terms of performance and quality, especially with certain factors like cooling and pressure relief, up to around $3,000 for a queen. As you get over that, we see that the performance increases are effectively zero after that point. So you're really just paying for the brand, the image, the marketing, all those other sort of intangibles. The the opposite is true though. If we look at sort of ultra low price mattresses in that say like sub $500 range usually are problematic. Usually are not high quality. They're just not built to last. So you want to try to spend kind of at least $1,000 for a queen, if at all possible, and then spending $1,500 to $2,000 is again, I think, kind of the sweet spot where we really maximize performance per dollar. But really, there's no reason, with very few exceptions, to spend more than $3,000, unless you're buying something that's super adjustable or a smart bed or all organic, all natural, tons of certifications. In some cases, those can get a little bit above 3,000, but for the vast majority of sleepers, there's just no reason to spend more than that.
Well, thank you, and that's an important piece because I think people may think like, oh, I have to buy like a $10,000, $5,000 mattress to really have the best of the best. But I think you kept a very good level at a decent price. I mean, some people can still say 1,500 is not cheap, and it's pretty it's a chunk. But it is something that it's like an investment, right? It's not something that you change every day. That's the question now. How often should we kind of consider changing a mattress, especially if there's that investment in there and there's a money factor.
Yeah, most quality mattresses should last 8 to 10 years. If you are using a waterproof mattress protector to protect it, you have a high quality mattress frame and foundation. 8 to 10 years is how long the mattress should last. That said, this is a case where you really have to listen to your body to know when it's time. Some mattresses are going to last longer than that. Some are going to last less. But you also may have cases where the mattress that you bought 5 years ago just doesn't feel good. The mattress still may be a fine bed, but your body's needs and preferences may have simply changed. So really consider how you feel in the morning when you get up. Are you energized? Are you in pain? Do you have soreness? If you are frequently experiencing those issues, it may simply be time to take and to get a new mattress. So I always just encourage people to consider your individual experience, what your body is feeling, because your body will be a better judge than any other sort of general time guideline on when it's time to get a new bed.
Thank you, Derek. So now, so that you mentioned something about like the price goes up, and of course the preferences can change over time. But let's say someone develops some sort of an allergy, someone has some skin condition, whatever. Is there a way to maybe customize some of these mattresses or some kits or things that they can purchase that can actually support their condition, whatever that may be?
Well, we do have a pretty wide ranging set of accessories that can help in different situations, right? Full encasement mattress protectors, which is basically a giant zipper enclosure on the protector, can help in cases where, let's say, you live in a super humid environment and you're worried about, moisture getting down in the mattress. You're worried, mold, or they can also help in cases with allergies. Now, I urge caution here because an encasement is not a sort of foolproof allergen protector. You need to, I think, really talk to your allergen specialist, your doctor, to understand, how bad is this. For some with allergies, I've heard it's perfectly fine to use that encasement protector, and for others, it's just there's just no way, like you have to get a new mattress. So listen to your doctor in all cases here. In addition, we have other devices that kind of go on top of the mattress pads, mattress toppers. Those can be great, especially in cases where sleeping partners have different needs. Your partner wants firm, you want soft. All right, get yourself a soft topper, and then have a firm bed. That way, kind of everybody is happy. So that's another really good choice. In addition, I've seen basically a device that kind of goes under the mattress to provide sort of extra support. And these can be helpful, especially in cases where you can't yet get a new mattress due to financial constraints or what have you, and your mattress is sagging, it's no longer comfortable. These sort of reinforcing foam rubber type pieces that go under the mattress can help to, again, provide a little bit more support in that middle of the mattress where most mattresses are going to sag if they do sag, and can help extend the life of the mattress a few more years.
Well, thank you for clarifying that. Now that leads me to the next question is, I'm visualizing what you're talking about, but so box springs are, part of, like, usually you don't get the mattress without those. Are they even necessary, or are they really a support mechanism to actually get better, conditioning to the actual mattress and how it feels on somebody's, body when they sleep?
Yeah. So most modern mattresses do not explicitly require a box spring. And let's clarify what a box spring is. A sort of traditional box spring is literally a box with metal type springs in it. This is what all inner spring mattresses used to need. Most modern mattresses do not need a box spring, but they need some type of foundation. A foundation is just like the supportive thing that the mattress sits on. That could be a type of box spring. It could be an adjustable foundation. It could be a slat foundation, metal slats, metal bars, solid platform bed. There's all kinds of different ones that will work fine. So we don't usually want a traditional box spring with springs for modern mattresses. And most of the mattress brand's warranty page will say don't use an actual box spring. The complicated thing is that a box spring looks identical to an actual foundation, which is just another box, but instead of having springs in it, it's a box with sort of rigid, usually like wooden support slats, and they're covered by fabric. Both are usually covered by fabric, so they look very similar, and they can be hard to tell apart, but they are different. And so traditional box spring, for the most part, is not something that we want to use anymore. For the most part, we want solid wooden structure foundations if you like that aesthetic. That said, you don't necessarily have to do that. Many bed frames now come with sort of built-in slats, or you can get a modular set of slats to toss on there. They make slats of wood and composite materials and metal and all kinds of stuff. And like I said, we also have adjustables that don't need any sort of foundation. They are the foundation. And then platform beds, which have a solid end-to-end surface, usually wood, sometimes metal, sometimes composite and other materials. So those are great as well. So as long as you have some type of robust foundation, that's what the mattress needs. It doesn't have to be a sort of traditional looking box style foundation.
Well, thank you. I'm smirking here. I'm listening to you. And something again popped out of my mind right now is that I'm going to age myself a little bit. That's okay. Is there something that changed over time whereby the mattresses, they used to be double sided, you can flip them, uh, or was it just purely economical where you can actually sell more mattresses now because you can't keep flipping them and just save time and money? Is that what it is? Because I think that's back in the days you literally get a mattress and it has both sides. This one gets a little mushy, you just switch it and it works on the other side. So, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so flippable mattresses used to be a lot more common with the double-sided comfort layers, but they've kind of gone by the wayside. And I think there's probably a couple of reasons. I think one has got to be the big one is consumer preferences toward sort of higher performance hybrid mattresses. So Hybrid mattresses have much thicker comfort layers that, could be anywhere from, let's say, 3 to 6 inches thick. Plus, they may have, a pillow top or quilted cover. Whereas the traditional sort of flippable mattress is usually an inner spring style mattress, and that comfort layer might only be, inch and a half, 2 inches, or a relatively small amount of comfort material. And the types of foams just were not as dense and robust as what we see in a lot of modern hybrid type mattresses. So I think part of it is the cost to have a flippable hybrid with, let's even just say 4 inches of comfort material on each side plus a spring unit in the middle. Some brands do that, but they're a little bit more expensive. They're quite rare, and for the most part, I don't really believe the notion that a flippable mattress extends the life. A lot of sort of marketing around this was like, oh, you get twice as long because you have it's flippable, but the simple reality is when you're laying on that bed, the weight is still making itself down to the foundation of the mattress. That foundation, that layer on the bottom that one day is going to be flipped on top, is being compressed into the foundation. So the foams are going to be degrading at a similar level. So in my view, the flippable mattresses were more of a marketing gimmick. I'm pleased that they've mostly gone away, because I think they, for the most part, are not a great choice for consumers.
Oh, thank you. And that, it's funny. It just, I thought I did, many times, like, what happened to those things. And I can see that, there's a valid reason behind it, not, the financial aspect of it. Of course, I mean, there's some of that too in terms of sales, whatever, but I get the concept, and, and thank you for clarifying that. But, it's interesting, in some cultures, for example, I think in Japan, there's no culture of a box spring or stuff. I mean, the mattresses
Yeah.
are usually on the ground, on the floor, and they're pretty firm. Is there, any particular? I mean, I don't know if you did some research on that, and like comparing, what those types of mattresses look like compared to, what we have in the States, for example.
Yeah, and the so it's sort of a traditional sort of Japanese style futon. They're either mats, or they have some quilted material, but very thin. They usually go directly on the floor. You can buy these mattresses here in the U.S. and in many parts of the world. They are an inexpensive choice, but a very firm choice. And in my view, if you've grown up sleeping on those types of mattresses, then it feels very normal. Your body is accustomed to it, and they can create great sleep and good support. But for many people that haven't grown up on those, the switch can be very, very difficult, virtually impossible. I've talked to numerous readers and viewers of NapLab over the years who have tried to make the switch because they see the cost benefits and the simplicity. And there's a lot of reasons to like the notion of a futon on the floor, but the body just couldn't adjust. And so I think you've got to just have an honest conversation. Do you think your body can adjust? And if so, give it a try, but don't be shocked if your body is just unable to make that switch, because I think it is a really tough one to switch to.
Thank you. Now, I'm assuming in the website. I mean, we talked mattresses, and I think you mentioned something about pillows. Do you also kind of carry some of the comparables in the pillow world, or just purely mattresses?
Right now, we are focused exclusively on mattresses. In my career, I have tested and tried a bunch of pillows. I used to review them years and years ago, but I haven't recently. It's something I want to do in the future, but right now we don't have pillow reviews. When we get ready to do them, it's a big undertaking. I don't want to do anything kind of halfway, and so I want to make sure we are ready and we have sufficient sort of time to do both pillows and mattresses.
Thank you. So now a question. In your space, so your company, um, someone goes in, they check, all the comparables, all the stats and all the data. Now, what will be the next step? Do they purchase through the site? Do they connect to other site, or they just basically, establish a criteria of what will be the best selection for themselves? How does the company work, in terms of the business aspect of it, and how can people, reach out to you and work with you?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way, and what most people do is, they come in, they read our reviews, they might check out some of our guides and education, some comparisons, some of our best of materials, find beds that they think are going to work, and they can just very easily order right there. We've got links on every page that take you off to the mattress manufacturer or the brand where you can make a purchase, and it's just as easy as that. If you want a little bit more help, we do have a personalized quiz. You answer a few questions about your needs and preferences and budget. That goes straight to me or a member of my team, and we send you back a personalized recommendation within 24 hours. We look at sort of every bed that we've ever tested. We consider your specific needs and then drill down from, hundreds of mattresses and say, all right, well, they want a hybrid and a medium firmness and minimal sinkage, and it's got to be organic and it has to have this certification. And that gets us down to like the one best bed. And that's what we send over.
All right. And then basically they can just, connect directly and purchase, and that's the end of it. All
Yep.
right. So I actually, there was a question I kind of skipped, which is, you kind of alluded to it, like, when about the body and so on and so forth, but like, it's more about body size, someone who's a bigger, weight versus someone who's slimmer. Women maybe going through a pregnancy status, right?
Yeah.
Are there any recommendations, for example, for those types of conditions?
Certainly for heavier weighted bodies, especially those over 300 pounds, those sleepers usually want to go with a plus size or an HD mattress. And the simple reason is that a typical mattress is designed to support up to 300 pounds and usually only warranted up to 300 pounds. So if you are over 300 pounds, you want a mattress that has been designed and tuned and has the materials and is warranted to support above that. So your plus size or HD mattress is going to support, 300 to 500 pounds. With respect to pregnancy, it's a tough one, right? Because we want a mattress that's going to deliver great comfort and sleep for the pregnancy, but at the same time, we want something that's still going to be comfortable after the pregnancy. And so, you might find something that is maybe one notch softer with a little bit better pressure relief, a little bit more sinkage to facilitate the pregnancy. But I would caution going kind of too extreme in any one direction, simply because you don't want to end up in a situation where then this was great while you were pregnant, but now I hate it and it's too soft or it's too much sinkage or what have you.
Thank you, Derek, for that. So I appreciate, actually, that's another nugget that, for some people that may be a big deal, and I think you've covered that. And of course, I think in your side they'll be able to kind of do the research on that as well, and be guided correctly. So now, we're coming to the end of the show. So where do you see the future of sleep and wellness going here?
That's a good question. We look at sort of, recent years. I think the trends, there's a lot of sort of tech and sort of, smart stuff in the world of mattresses and sleep. I expect we're going to continue to see more of that. It's probably going to get smaller. It's going to get cheaper. It's going to get more integrated into sleep products, pillows and sheets and protectors and mattresses and all this stuff. And as far as its impact, we'll see. The stuff that's come out in the last decade, I think, has been interesting but not sort of revolutionary, and the stuff that is more interesting ends up being sort of very expensive. So it's tough to say. The When we look at kind of the material science around mattresses, it's very slow moving. You compare memory foam in the last 30 to 35 years. It has, if we compare where it started, it's changed dramatically, but those changes were very slow over time. Formulas slowly being tuned and refined and changed and updated to where we are today, where the memory foam is much, much better today compared to where it began. And the same is true for coil units and most materials within the world of mattresses. So I would expect we'll continue to see a very gradual but incremental improvement in the world of material sciences that are used in the mattresses. And we'll continue to see, a lot of, smart tech and smart beds coming out. I expect, again, they will be interesting, but probably won't be revolutionary until they are small in everything, ubiquitous, and inexpensive.
Well, thank you, Derek. So just before we close, as always, I ask the question is, anything you want to leave our audiences with as a piece of advice?
I think maybe the one piece of advice I could leave you with is use a waterproof mattress protector. A lot of people don't use one because they think they don't need it. Like, oh, I don't have pets or I don't have kids. No one's going to wet the bed, right? The issue is a little bit more complicated. The human body loses anywhere from half a liter to a liter of liquid fluid each night. That's in part from respiration and in part from perspiration. A lot of that just gets up in the air and changes humidity in the room, not as big of a deal. But some of that, in addition to the oils on the skin and hair, is getting down into the mattress. over time, that liquid, that fluid, those oils will break down the foams in your bed. As those foams break down, they're more likely to sag, form dips, form body impressions, permanent deformations, basically make the mattress uncomfortable and unsupportive. A waterproof mattress protector prevents that stuff from getting down into the mattress, and therefore extends the life of the mattress, reduces sagging, reduces body impressions, and so forth. So, beyond just keeping the mattress hygienic and clean and looking nice and protecting your warranty, it also is hugely beneficial to protect the mattress longevity.
There you have it, folks. You got to protect those mattresses, especially it's an investment, as we said. And you do have recommendations as well. I'm assuming, you have it all in your, website, so it's all
Yep.
good. So there's no other way, folks. You just go in there, check it out, look at the things that you need that will make you feel better and sleep better, and ultimately contribute to better health. Derek, thank you so much for being with us, man. It's been fun. It's a whole new world about things that we've uncovered, I would say, today in this discussion. I mean, it's like we know about sleep, but the master of disaster is the mattress, you know.
Yes.
And so we can understand how it operates, in a way that's like in its own a solution to better health. So thank you so much for doing the work you do, and really congratulations on really building a concept that is unique in its own, and making a difference to people's health and lives. Because I think when we sleep good, we have a better relationship with everybody else. You're not cranky.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. And so that's it, folks. This is the end of the show. I'm Hurricane H. I hope you enjoyed our discussion today. We'll be talking soon. New day, new show, new topic. Bye for now.